Hey guys, what's up? It's Joe Raiti from Raiti's Rides, and you might be saying to yourself, is this guy going to do another review of a 2018 WRX STI? Well, guess what? You're right, but you're also wrong. I'm here to talk about a little rivalry that took place for many, many years between the Subaru WRX STI and a car company called Mitsubishi and their Lancer Evolution. World rally tracks around the world, streets around your neighborhood, dealership showroom floors. Those two were rivals, head to head, battling one another every single day around the world. Well, guess what? Mitsubishi decided to do something very stupid. And in 2015, they pulled the plug on their Lancer Evolution. And that left the Subaru with nobody to go up against it. Well, guess what? 2016, we have a new rival to the WRX STI, this Ford Focus RS. I'm going to talk about these two rivals and give you some of my input about things that I love and things that I don't like about each of them. So let's go ahead and start with the Ford Focus RS. The Ford Focus RS came out onto the scene in 2016. Guess what? If you want one of these, the current version is going to be done in 2018. So you better get down to a showroom floor right now and pick one up. One thing I love about the front of the Ford Focus RS, I love that it screams functionality and aggressiveness. The whole front bumper here is all open. It has these metal screens that allows as much air to flow to the radiator and also that huge front mount intercooler. What I do like about the car is I like the way it's open. I like the way that the plastic is a very nice finish. It's not shiny like piano, but it's not super flat. It's got a nice look to it. I also really like that Ford added this lower front splitter. It gives it that extra aggressiveness, but guess what? It's also functional. The next thing that I really love about the front end of this car is you get functional brake cooling ducts. So these aren't just for show. These are actually going to channel air to those Brembo calipers to keep them cool. As you can see, you have the option of getting the car. This is called nitrous blue. And I'm telling you, I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but this car has so much metal flake in it, it looks like a bowling ball going down the lanes at your local bowling alley. Really a lot of metallic in there, beautiful color. I really like the sharp headlights with the way that they have them set up. It gives it that aggressive look. Now, one thing that I wish that it did had, I wish there was something going on the hood up here, some type of heat extractor. I've seen on World Rally Ford Focus products where they have vents on each side of the hood to help drag that hot air from out from underneath the hood. That would really give it that extra touch. So if Ford continues to bring us the Focus RS in the next generation, I would like to see some change there. Another thing that I'm not really the biggest fan of, I don't love where they put the washer jets for the windshield wipers. They could have took these and tucked them underneath the hood. It kind of just ruins the flow of the lines. But other than that, it does have a little bit of a bulge there to show that it is aggressive. Now, when it comes to the side fenders, this is where I think Ford totally missed it. These fenders need to be a little bit more flared. This is a rally car. It's going around all sorts of tracks on road courses and dirt roads. You want to have that aggressive push to it out in the fenders. So that's where I think that they get a big, huge thumbs down. Thumbs up on these wheels. Now, I don't know if you're aware, these are stock 19-inch Ford wheels. These are cast aluminum. Remember, cast is going to be stronger than the other types, and that's going to give you that extra strength to the wheel. You have these 4-piston calipers, so very nice setup. So you have forged aluminum wheel, 19-inch, and you have 4-piston calipers from Brembo, and I really like the way they have the same color match. Now, if you're wondering, why is it the blue color? Is it because the car is blue? No. Nitrous blue is actually the color of RS. RS is the rally branch of Ford Racing. Let's go ahead and continue down the side. Same thing here. They could have done a little bit of extra flaring and carried it down the side. But you know what I like? I like the body lines. Where these crease marks are, it gives it a nice aggressive look, and it takes it all the way to the back. Here's where they could have kept it going. If they would have just flared this rear fender out, almost a little bit like a 2014 STI hatch. If they would have just took that and flared it out, I think it really would have made that extra connection. One of my favorite parts of this car is I really love the spoiler. that they put up on top. This is functional, and it's not too crazy to where you're going to get all this extra attention, but it's just enough. And I like the lower bumper here. This lower bumper is specific to the RS with this cutout in it and the way that it wraps around to the rear with these are huge 2.5 inch openings for the exhaust. One thing I do like about the exhaust is that it is active. So you could actually make them quieter or louder on your command. But I really like the way that they wrapped up the end of the Ford Focus RS. I don't know about you, but I'm ready to show you that WRX STI sitting over there. Let's go check it out. All right, guys, so we're at the front end of the business of this 2018 STI, and there's really no better place to be. One thing that I absolutely love is the hood scoop. This hood scoop is functional. It's not a pencil box. It's not all show and no go. The reason why this is here is that there's a top mount intercooler deep down in there. That is what Subaru does with their setup, because guess what? With a flat four engine, the engine sits lower in the chassis than in that Ford Focus RS, because the Ford Focus RS has an inline four. It's taller. This has a flat four. Remember that boxer engine with the pistons going side by side? That's going to be lower. That allows the placement of the intercooler up there. One place that Subaru missed the mark is right here with these fake air ducts. These things are not functional. They're huge. And what's crazy is if you look right here, they actually have an opening, but it goes to nowhere. I don't understand that, and that's a big change that I would like to see. I think if they would have went with a little bit smaller and then have it functional on the side, sort of like on the RS, I think that would allow you to have a little bit more of that beautiful World Rally blue, but also get some functionality. Because remember, this is supposed to be a track rally car, and these things need to work. I do love the tweaking that they did with the front bumper, and I really, really like the updated front grille. Now, where they could have went a little bit more is had taken this plastic material and brought it down here, because this is a different material. And I think that that's where they missed the mark, is that it makes it not look mix match. So by taking this and bringing it down to here, I think it really would have paid dividends. Let's go ahead and check out the side, and I'll show you some things that I love and not like over here. This is what I was telling you on that Ford Focus RS. Subaru hit the nail on the head. It has this beautiful flared fender. You can see how much further the fender comes out. You have some venting here. That is a nice touch. That gives it that aggressive look. Another thing I want to show you are these calipers. Now, when I showed you on the Focus RS, those bright blue Brembos were only 4-piston. These neon yellow Brembo calipers are 6-piston. That's going to give you extra braking power and stability when you are hard on the brakes, and that's a thing that I definitely love. Let's continue down the side. Here's another part that I love on the STI, and this is where Ford missed the mark. This extra bulging. This shows power, aggression. That's what these rally cars look like. It really gives it a nice look, and I'm glad to see it on there. And then, of course, close to my heart, I love the Subaru STI wing. When you see this wing, you know what type of car it is. It sets it off. It's functional. I like that. One thing I don't love is the lower diffuser. This is not functional. If you look on the Focus RS, it also has a black diffuser. That diffuser is functional. This is not. So that's another place where I think Subaru missed the mark when it comes to styling on the outside. But I don't know about you. Outside is important, but let's go check out the inside, where we'll be spending most of our time behind the wheel. Let's go check it out. All right, guys, we're sitting in the Ford Focus RS, and I think the first place I need to show you are these seats. These are the full Recaro RS seats. What I love about them is that they're Recaro back and bottom. Now, some people complain about how high the bolstering is and the angle of the seat. I am 6 foot, 200 pounds. I don't have any problem sitting in these seats, and they really hold you in really nice. And I love the material of the Alcantara with the leather. The next thing I want to show you is the infotainment system. This comes with the Ford My Connect. The navigation in this car is so easy to use. It's very quick reacting. I really like that. Ford hit the nail on the head. I don't like the way this whole dash comes out. I wish it was just a little further back, because it does make you feel a little claustrophobic if you're not used to that. But that's one thing I would just like to see it pushed a little bit back. This I absolutely love. This may not sound like a big deal, but this armrest is perfect for putting your elbow here. It's at a great height. It's very nice leather material and soft for those longer drives when you're cruising on the highway. Very, very nice. I really like the placement of the shifter. The stock shifter has pretty short throws. It's not as mechanical as the STI, but it is very, very smooth and very slick shifting. The next thing I want to show you is the steering wheel. The problem with the steering wheel is it's a little thin. So the shape I love the 10 and 2 grips, but the actual thickness of it, it's a little too thin. I just wish it was a little thicker for when you're driving aggressively. I do like the way all Ford Focus RS STs, doesn't matter, comes with push button start and keyless entry. That makes life a little bit easier because you don't have to worry about a key. And the last thing is this gauge cluster. Now, I do like the way it shows oil temp and oil pressure. That boost gauge is pretty much worthless. Maybe on the next Focus RS, they bring it and integrate it somehow into the navigation screen or something like that, sort of like to what I'm going to show you on the STI. And since we're talking about STI, let's go ahead and check it out. All right, guys, we're sitting inside the WRX STI. The first place I want to touch on are these seats. Now, I really love what Subaru has done with the Alcantara and the leather, especially the leather on the corners here, because that's going to be where most of your wear spots are going to be. The one thing I don't like is I don't like that there's not enough bolstering. Now, there is an option of getting a Recaro seat in the 2018 WRX and WRX STI. The problem is, and this is something you'll have to see for yourself, the back of the seat is a Recaro, the bottom is still the same exact seat. And when you're driving aggressively, it just doesn't hold you in tight enough. There's a lot of room compared to the Recaros in the Ford Focus RS. One thing I do like is I like the way Subaru switched to this piano black finish trim inside the car. I like the way there's more room inside the car. The dash is pushed a little bit forward. One thing I think Subaru, they're working hard because if you go back to say 2004 when the STI first came to the States, Subaru was not known for their interiors. They've come a long way. So I just want to let everybody know that, but they still have a lot of room to go. And the navigation system is one of those places. There's no Apple CarPlay. It's a very, very outdated system. I do like, though, in the WRX and the WRX STI, and you'll see when we take this car for a spin, this upper display area, it's going to give you the option of a boost gauge and other information with the car. I like the placement of the shifter. I really feel very good with where my hand is and my arm with the shifter. I also do like the way Subaru has the SI drive. This allows you to go into a eco mode to save gas. You got sport and you got sport sharp. Plus, you can control power delivery from the front of the car to the back of the car, all by the switch of a button. I think my favorite thing on the interior of this car is the steering wheel. I love the thickness of the wheel. I love the shape of it, and I like the materials that they're using. It's a really, really well thought out wheel, and it gives you a really good sense of control when you are driving aggressively on a twisty road or an autocross event or anything like that. But I don't know about you. Looking at these cars sitting here is fun. Let's go ahead and take them for a little spin. Come on, let's check it out.
All right, guys, so we're inside the Ford Focus RS. Right away, you can see I do like the navigation setup that we have here compared to the STI. One thing that I don't like I pointed out before, there are the gauges in that extra pod. Now, I do like the way there's an oil temperature and an oil pressure gauge. What I don't like is this boost gauge. It really doesn't show very well. And you see the coloring, I don't like now the blue coloring is supposed to mean RS, but I think it gives it a cheap look. Same thing on the tachometer and the speedometer. They're backlit gauges just like in the STI, but you can see they don't have that nice finish that the STI has. So that's one place I think where Ford dropped the ball, is on the gauge cluster, making it a little bit extra nicer touch there. What's cool about the RS that's different than the STI is that you do have different modes for what you want to do with the car. There is normal, sport, track, and drift mode. Now, I won't be using drift today. That's for a future video, so get ready for that. But we are going to have it in track mode with the traction control turned back on and the suspension put back to the softer suspension setting. Because that's the one thing with this car, if you're driving it as an everyday driver like I do, you really don't want to put it on the stiffer suspension setting. It's too stiff for public roads and it really gets bouncy. So I just keep it in the softer setting. But if you're ready, here we go. We're gonna roll on out and show you what 2.3 EcoBoost turbocharged engine is all about in the Ford Focus RS. Same thing, very easy to modulate the clutch pedal. The shifter's nice and short throws. Now what's different is that turbo is going to come in at a lower RPM. It starts to come in around 2,500, 3,000 RPM, and the power is very linear all through the power range. It has that smoothness to it that's a little different than the STI, but if you like that old turbo feel, there's nothing wrong with that. Getting that kick at 4,000 RPM, it's a lot of fun. This car, same thing, it's a little bit different driving experience. One thing I don't know if you can pick up are the pops and bangs out the back. You know, it never gets old, and that's why I really do like driving this car, is that it's just all about fun. You know, the noises, the sound, the feel, it's all about having a good time while you're driving, and that's what makes it an enthusiast car. One thing that I don't like compared to the Subaru is I don't like the pedal placement. I wish the pedals were a little bit more like the Subaru. It is a little harder to heel-toe downshift, and I did have to do a modification to bring the gas pedal a little bit closer to where the brake pedal is, just to ease that whole operation. But like I said, I think the biggest takeaway from the RS is the smoothness of the power delivery compared to the STI. Both cars handle really well. This does have a different system for the all-wheel drive compared to the Subaru, so you're going to get a little bit different experience. But like I said, at the end of the day, it's really a joy to drive both cars. All right, guys, we're inside the STI. One thing I want to point out is this is what I was telling you about that gauge pod on top of the dash. I really, really like the boost gauge there. I think it really shows the information a lot better than on that tiny little gauge that's on the Focus RS. Another thing that I love is I love the backlit lighting of the STI gauge clusters. Subaru has done such a great job on the gauges in the STI, and I think that's where the Ford Focus RS feels a little cheap, is with the coloring that they use and whatnot on the gauges. And I really am in love with the Subaru gauge setup. So let's go ahead and roll on out of this parking lot. And right off the bat, one thing that I love about the Subaru is I love the clutch feel. The clutch is very smooth to modulate and very easy to know where that grabbing point is, where that pickup point is. But you can hear that classic Subaru rumble coming from the back. It's a very, very nice sound. The power delivery, it's a little different than maybe what some people are used to when it comes to a turbocharged engine. The Subaru, the 2.5 liter flat four with the turbo, it has that old classic turbo feel where the power is not coming in until about 4,000 RPM. The nice thing though is once it comes in, it's very linear above 4,000. I also like the pedal placement. The way the pedals are placed in the foot box are very, very well spaced. You could do your heel-toe downshifting. The brake pedal has a nice feel to it. It doesn't feel all mushy on you. It's very, very linear, the way that the brake power comes on. But you can see when we roll out here, first gear in a second. But boy, when it hits 4,500 RPM, and you hear that classic rumble, I think that's my favorite, is that boxer rumble sound. Heel-toe downshifting is such a piece of cake in this car. I love the hydraulic steering. You know, this car still has not switched over to electric steering. It has that hydraulic assisted steering. It gives you that nice feel that I don't think that the electric motors and the computers have been able to simulate yet. So I do really like that setup as well. But the car is very easy to see out of, and it's just very, very smooth when you're going around a parking lot and whatnot. But like I said, once you get on it, it really, 4,000 RPM is where it really kicks in. If you're expecting a car that's going to come in at something lower, you're going to have to look somewhere else.
All right, guys, so it's been one hell of a day. As you can see, Subaru still has a rival, that Ford Focus RS. Mitsubishi was there for so long. I wish they were still around. Maybe if I cross my fingers and do some type of prayer, they'll come back, but I doubt it because they're going the SUV and crossover route. I like a lot of things about the Subaru. I like a lot of things about the Ford Focus RS. Where am I going to put my money at the end of the day? I'm going to say it's going with the Ford Focus RS. Overall, I like the performance. I like the feel that you get from behind the wheel. I like the look, and I like the way it drives. But you are going to have to make that choice for yourself, and I challenge you to go out and test drive a Subaru STI and an RS and see what it's all about. Because you know what is awesome? At the end of the day, both car companies are making vehicles for us, the enthusiasts, the people that have a passion for the automobile, that aren't going to be driving around in some autonomous car. We want to have that experience. But anyways, I want to thank you all for watching. If you like to see stuff like this, leave a comment in that comment section. Visit raitisrides.com. You can send me a message directly through there. Please check out my Instagram page. I have tons of original content out there. And if there's anything that you want specific, let me know. And like always, guys, I'll see you on the next ride.